Hello, this is your host Anansa, and you're watching Homeland, the story of the returnee. This is a show where we dive into the perspective of diasporas in and out of Ghana, their struggles, and how they're finding their transitioning. So with me is Franka Maria Andoh, the CEO of Josie's Copper Cappuccino, the finest coffee shop in Ghana. Welcome me. Hello, Miss Franka Maria Andoh.
Hello.
I'm fine, thank you. Before we start, we like to have an icebreaker segment called Yes or No. So I ask few questions, and your answer are either yes or no.
Okay.
Okay, so my first question is, do you cook?
No.
Can you live without the internet?
Yes.
For how long?
Maybe a week.
Have you ever sent a text message to the wrong person?
Yes.
Have you ever lost in a fight? Ever lost a fight?
A physical fight?
Yes.
I have never fought physically before.
That's amazing. Are you concerned about what others think about you?
I used to be, not anymore.
Why? What changed that?
I think when you get to a certain age where you understand yourself more, I think you know your journey, and you know that your journey is a very unique one. Other people's opinions sort of don't matter as much as when you're young and you're impressive and you really don't know who you are and where you're going. So you're looking at other people for direction or for some sense of, where you want to go. I think when you get to some point in your life, as long as in your heart you know that you are going in the right direction, you're not hurting anybody, you're contributing to community, to family, it shouldn't really matter what other people think.
That's amazing. That's amazing put together. To start off with, I'll start off with your hobbies. Like, what are your all-time favorite hobbies, would you say?
Okay, so I'm a writer, so I do enjoy writing. I have several published books, so that's one of the things that I do in my spare time. I love watching movies. I've recently gone into filmmaking, so I don't want to say I don't enjoy them as much, but now I watch films in a very different way. I think in a slightly more critical way, as opposed to just pure entertainment. But I like writing. When I have the time, I love to read, and I like watching films as well.
So, right now, what's like your latest written book?
Currently, I'm working on a screenplay for my next movie. I'm also working on a short story, which is going to be part of an anthology.
Oh,
so those are my current pieces that I'm working on.
And this is a hobby turned into passion and creating.
Well, hobbies can evolve into professions. I mean, people start off with hobbies that eventually become what they do for a living. I've always written. I mean, even when I was little, I used to write very interesting compositions in school. But at the time I was growing up, I didn't realize that writing could be something that you did. And so again, that came with age and exposure and realization that it was a gift that could be turned into something quite concrete.
That's amazing. So how would you say your childhood shaped you into going to the path of writing? What was your early childhood like?
I was a last born. I had a lot of brothers and a sister. They were much older, so there's a bit of a gap between myself and my brother just before me, 8 years. And so I spent a lot of time by myself. Like when they were in boarding school, I was at home. And I did a lot of reading. And I think if you're going to be a writer, you start off by being a good reader or somebody who reads a lot. And then I remember also that my dad, the year I was born, that's when he set up the family library. So I grew up seeing like a lot of books, and so that's how I would sort of entertain myself. And then also I used my imagination a lot. Like I was always thinking of what would happen if I ran away from home. And sometimes I would run away from home, but I'd be in the house. But in my imagination, I've kind of run away from home. So I think, at that time, I didn't realize that those are the kind of what you call writerly thoughts, when you're you're in a house and you're imagining that you've run away from a house. That's the kind of thing a writer would think about. You know, no level-headed person will think about things like that.
No, but that's amazing to be able to indulge in your own imagination and to create your own space and own world by yourself.
Absolutely.
I feel like that's one of the biggest and best attributes to have, because then you enjoy your time by yourself.
Absolutely. Yes, I do. I'm okay by myself. I don't usually like a lot of people around me. I don't do groups very well. I tend to like a few people that I can be myself with, and I don't have to pretend to be someone else. I can really bare my soul and be me. And so I don't do big groups of friends, and my daughter's my best friend, and I have a few people that, we're all not perfect, but I know that if I need a shoulder, they're there.
So would you say you're an introvert?
I think, yeah. I've come to that conclusion that I mean, people think that because of what I do, I must be a people person, but I'm not really a people person. I enjoy my work in the restaurant. I enjoy seeing people enjoying the space. But I don't need to have a lot of people around me to feel okay with myself.
That's amazing. You enjoy yourself, but you also enjoy company of people, but a very selective amount of people.
Yes.
That is the way forward in life. And growing up in Ghana, how was it like for you in school-wise? Did you school in Ghana and transition to abroad? And what pushed you to want to go abroad, to go in school more?
Okay, so basically I went to Christ the King for my primary, and I went to St. Mary's Secondary School. I was there from 1980 to 1987. I was there for 7 years, and I did not enjoy the experience. Actually, when I did I didn't think that I would do well, so I ended up choosing to go back there. I feel like our education system sometimes strips you of your confidence. And when you're a creative person, sometimes you're a little silly, you think outside the box. You're a teenager, and yet you're expected to sort of work within these boundaries. And how do you grow a nation when you have people who work within boundaries all the time and don't think out of the box? And that's one of our biggest problems as a nation, because you're taught not to break the rules. And I'm not saying I wanted to jump the wall and go out clubbing. I was too scared to do that. But, there was no real understanding of young women aged between 12 and 17. And there was no real effort to build your confidence. Those are very important periods in any young woman's life. And, if you're 12 years and a senior is telling you that you're ugly, you're going to believe that you're ugly.
Yeah.
And that was all part of that sort of, I would say sometimes, emotional abuse that, people rendered to people, and didn't realize that sometimes if you're not lucky, you would be scarred for life. But when I went back to sixth form and I was in upper six, we had a lecturer he was called Ahithophel, that was his nickname. He was teaching us religious studies, and he had just come from Legon. And he used to talk about the Commonwealth Hall guys and the vandals and the stuff that they used to do. And I just said to myself, I don't think that's the space for me. Because I was doing art, so it was, the assumption was that I would go to Legon, because I wanted to do law at the time. And I remember thinking, that's not the space for me. And even now, I think that was God, because for a 17, 18-year-old to figure out that this is not the space for me. Now when I think about it, it was a pretty phenomenal decision to make.
Very much.
And so I told my mom I wanted to go to the UK, and she's like, I don't have money for fees. I said, let me go and try. Let me go and see what I can do. So she cried small, and then she bought my ticket. So when I finished my national service, I taught for a year. um, I went to London, um, where I stayed for 6 years.
And how was the experience for you when you went to London comparing to the one in Ghana?
I recently I wrote an article about how I actually found myself in London, and how weird it is to leave a familiar space and to actually find yourself in an unfamiliar space. I went in October. I was as skinny as a shrimp, and I remember I was very cold. I couldn't deal with the cold, and I really never could deal with the cold in the period of time that I was there. I had been accepted into law school, but I got in late, so I couldn't go to law school. And then I found the fees were really high because they had different fee structures for those who were born in the UK and those who, were non UK residents. And so I decided I was going to go to night school and learn how to use a computer, because at that time when I was leaving Ghana, we didn't have computers. Only a few people had computers. So I thought, if I learn how to use a computer, I can get a job as an admin and then earn enough money to put myself through school. Of course, I didn't go back to law school. I ended up doing admin, and I also ended up, because I was sort of transitioning and going to school, I was working in like a cafe, and I was making sandwiches and cleaning and washing pots, which I'd never really done, because I had, I would say, quite a privileged childhood. So I never really had to scrub pots and pans and do major work like that. But that's always one of the life lessons I share with young people, that sometimes you might find yourself somewhere that I will use the word despise, because I despise where I was, because a lot of the people I knew were working in shops, in fashion, and I thought that would suit me more. I would like to work in Oxford Street and be, putting perfume on women's hands and getting discounts on fashion, because I love clothes. I still love clothes. And instead I was standing in this kitchen wearing a white overcoat with ketchup all over it and making sandwiches. But that's where I learned how to make sandwiches. And that's what evolved eventually into the ownership of my cafe.
Yeah.
A few years ago, we were actually listed as one of the leading cafes in Africa. And I remember somebody sent me the link, and I opened it and I saw, the listing, and I was like, oh, whoever it is knows that I have a cafe, so they want me to know what's going on the continent. And I remember when I saw my business name, I cried, because I was like, wow, to start off with something that, people at the time, 20 odd years ago, didn't respect you if you were in the food business, and to work this length of time, and by God's grace to be recognized with like cafes that are part of leading cafes in the world. It was rewarding. It felt fulfilling for me.
That's amazing how you went to London, ended up where you don't want to be, doing the jobs you don't want to. Now this.
Absolutely.
Jerseys,
Absolutely.
That's a phenomenal inspirational story. Now it just makes me see life very differently.
Yeah, and I also feel like we didn't have mentors. The word mentor didn't even exist when we were growing up. The older girls, they mentor you, and the female teachers resented you. So you never had like really solid role models, or people sharing their experiences, so that you could also maybe circumvent some of those experiences. And I feel like wonderfully, with the advent of social media, people are really using that as a platform to share their stories and sort of inspire other people and grow other people. So I think you're a generation that's really blessed to have access to all of this information, and you have no reason to not be successful.
But do you feel like our generation right now is just social media so focused, like it's turned to comparison instead of using it for the right things?
I do feel like people are not honest in their projection of selves on social media. I had a workshop recently and I called it honest writing, because one of the things that I like to do is tell my truth. And so when I started my business, I would do one sandwich the whole day. Okay, so if I do 100 sandwiches now, I can talk about the 100 sandwiches now. But what is more inspiring, the 100 sandwiches now or the one sandwich that became 100 sandwiches? And people don't want to talk about how they got from that one to that 100. They like to make it seem as if it's always been 100.
Yeah.
And even with the 100, there are days where you feel like one. And people don't want to share those experiences. So the whole social media with Instagram and everything projects this glamorous, fun life that if you are not having, then you begin to feel that you have not been successful, or you're not where you should be at that point in your life. It is not a race, and the race is sending off for the swift. Everybody has their journey. You have to take your time, stay focused, and work towards your goals. It might take you longer, but I would rather have a long journey that is enduring than a very quick journey that is like, you know, those kind of fireworks that you light and it just goes and it's out.
Yeah.
You know, I would rather have something that is steady and slow, but will endure and I can live off for a long period of time. And I feel that young people are in a hurry to get everything.
No.
I didn't have a house till I was 40 plus. I didn't have a car till I was 40 plus.
I really, really want to get more into that. We're going to go for a short break and then we'll come back.
Sure.
With amazing. So this was the Homeland, the story of the returnee, and we're on a short break right now. Stay tuned, don't move.
Hello, my name is Kofi Opon Ochre, and I bring you NASA on DNT, a program designed to expose corruption and indiscipline in our society and advocate for the punishment of these offenders whose activities impede national development. The National Road Safety Commission indicates that Ghana loses $230 million to road accident, with over 1,600 deaths reported every year. In 2018, Shraj report indicated that Ghana loses 13.5 billion Ghana cedis to corruption. And United Nations Children's Fund UNICEF has also stated that Ghana loses $290 million to poor sanitation alone. This is not right. So make a date with me, and together let's name and shame the offenders of the law. NASA, see something, say something.
Welcome to the Daily Altar, where each day we bring to you a morning experience designed to inspire, empower you to manifest God's fullness in your life. Most Christians today are struggling spiritually when it comes to spending time with God. But the psalmist in Psalm 5 verse 3 says, "My voice you will hear in the morning. Oh Lord, in the morning I will direct it to you and I will look up." Join me every morning from 5 a.m. on the Daily Altar to encounter God through His Word, prayer, and worship. I am Bishop Sami Apariloko from the Action City Church, Vision 10. God richly bless you.
Oh, shout your name, for you are God all by yourself.
Every weekday at 12 and 5 p.m., DNT Newsroom brings you the most topical, fact-based, and up-to-date news from Ghana and around the world.
Politics, business, sports, and news from the diaspora, all covered in this comprehensive news update.
If it matters, DNT Newsroom will have it covered.
DNT News, be informed.
Welcome to the Daily Altar, where each day we bring to you a morning experience designed to inspire, empower you to manifest God's fullness in your life. Most Christians today are struggling spiritually when it comes to spending time with God. But the psalmist in Psalm 5 verse 3 says, My voice you will hear in the morning. Oh Lord, in the morning I will direct it to you and I will look up. Join me every morning from 5 a.m. on the daily altar to encounter God through His word, prayer, and worship. I am Bishop Sami Local from the Action City Church, Vision 10. God richly bless you.
Oh, shout your name, for you are God all by yourself.
My name is Novi.
The name is Phil.
Iman is the name.
Laugh
And learn.
What is the biggest animal in the world?
King Kong.
What's the meaning of the I in iPhone?
iTunes.
What is Facebook?
It's a book that you say it on your face.
What is the last book of the Bible?
Methodist. Your father is a landlord. What will you be?
Land Commission.
House owner.
Land Rover.
What do we do at the grocery shop?
They play football.
Who is Santa Claus?
Teacher will check fee.
Welcome back with my guest Franka Maria Andoh, and we've been talking about her amazing journey and how she acquired everything she's having right now. And we're going to talk more into your journey from Ghana. We spoke about when you went to London and the job that you were doing. So what did you end up going to college in London? Did you learn in London, or you just went to work?
I actually did both throughout because I ended up working in admin. And I found a course at Croydon Business School that allowed me to take my work as coursework. So at some point, my job actually paid my fees. So I graduated from Croydon Business School in October, and I was on the flight 2 days after my graduation.
You didn't stay back after that?
I've been there 6 years.
You just didn't want, it's like you knew you wanted to come back.
Well, one, my parents were in Ghana, and I remember I don't even said once, and my dad said to me, I hope you're not going to stay there. And I was like, well, my brothers lived there. You never told them to come back, you know. And I was a little miffed about it because I felt that he was setting different, standards for the boys and different standards for me. My parents had me quite old. My parents were like 45 when they had me. So they were aging, and I worried a bit about them, especially my mom. And also, I was in a relationship that probably would have made me stay. But when that didn't work out, I didn't feel like I had enough support family-wise. And I thought, I might as well just go back home. And I also had some business plans that I felt I would be best able to execute here as opposed to the UK. So. A couple of days after graduation, I was on a flight back home. And I remember coming out of the airport and my mom just holding my hand like really tight, like I was going to run away and go back on the next flight. And I feel, honestly, it was one of the best decisions I ever made in my life, because I don't think that I would have had the impact that I've had in the last 20 plus years in the UK as I've had here. I was able to put both my parents to rest. That gives me a sense of fulfillment and closure, because there's nothing like being abroad and getting a call that your mom or your dad, and you never really stop grieving, but I have closure. There's a difference between, grieving and having closure. And I think when you're able to see them through, my dad was 80, my mom was 91 when she passed.
That's amazing.
Yeah, I felt like I'd done my best as a child for them.
That's beautiful. And also, how would you compare the education system in Ghana and also in London?
As you may have gathered, I'm not a huge fan of our system of education in Ghana. I know that in the UK, I remember one of my professors, she was called Marion Webb, and she liked my work so much that she said she would keep my work as an example for students who were coming the next year. And I remember just before I came back to Ghana, she invited me out for coffee. Very elegant, very fashion-conscious woman. And I was able to sit with her and have a coffee, and I still respected her. But it seems like here, you know, there's a feeling that you have to be terrorized in order for you to have respect. You know, I think respect comes when you project certain behaviors and when you also respect the child. I think it's a give situation.
So you earn the respect.
Yeah, but you also have to respect the child. Like, I mean, I have a daughter. I respect her opinion. She knows that I'm her mom, but I respect what she has to say. You know, and I respect her personality and who she is. And I'm very careful where I put her, especially when it comes to her education, because I don't want anybody crushing her spirit. You know, because I feel like sometimes we are very bent on, you know, when we see kids that are like sparks, we want to bring the water out and just douse that spark, you know. And if the child is not able to get out of that, then that's a loss to the nation. Because those are the kids that will be inventors and creators and thinkers. But it's like, no, I wrote it this way, you have to write it this way. You're not encouraging the kid to think on their own and do their own research. And, you know, I think that the UK, that's why I always say I found myself in the UK. I found out that I had worth in the UK. Whereas here, I kind of was told that I wouldn't amount to anything in school. So to leave this space and go somewhere where you're appreciated and you're pushed and you're grown and people say to you, you should do this and you should do that because you're good at this and you're good at that. That's the kind of space that any creative wants to be in, because then you're digging into yourself and finding new things about yourself that, you know, in Ghana, I doubt very much if I would have discovered.
This story is very close to my heart, per se. And also, the growing up in Ghana and in UK and coming back, how would you say the mentality is for you? Like, when you got back, were you able to adjust straight away, or you kind of find it challenging with conversations, discipline at work, accountability?
Well, I mean, the last job I had in the UK, I was hired out of 500 people. 500 people applied for that job, and I got that job. So, I mean, when I first went in, they didn't tell me. My boss told me later. I think he thought my head would get a bit too big. But I had an amazing boss, Chris. It was called Chris Mortimer. He was encouraging. He pushed me. He gave me responsibilities that sometimes were too big, but you know, it's like, I have faith in you. You can do this. And then I came to Ghana, and initially, even though I wanted to start a business, I also wanted to work a bit, just kind of like gently get myself back into the system. So I worked for a company called DNT Express. And I was a customer service executive, very posh title. But basically what I was doing was dealing with people whose packages they hadn't received their packages. So they're calling and they're yelling and they're shouting and, you know, and I mean, sometimes my boss would actually come and take the phone from me and take the call. And I realized after a couple of months that I was beginning to feel that I had no worth. So even within that short space of time, I could feel that all the gains that I made in the UK, all the confidence that I had, you know, acquired in the UK. I mean, this silly job was sort of taking that away. And I kind of decided that I wasn't going to stay in that job. And I got another job as an editor for a magazine, which I really enjoyed. And from then I evolved into the cafe. I started the cafe. I try not to be too critical of Ghana, because I owe Ghana, first I owe God, but I owe Ghana the opportunity to be an entrepreneur. And they say that you do not point to your village with your left hand, but I do feel that we have a lot of work to do if we're going to catch up with the developing world. And the sad thing is that we have everything. We have everything we need to be a wealthy, safe, happy nation.
Developed country.
And we balance because we are people of faith.
Yes.
But we also have resources. So if we're able to just balance that out, I mean, I think we'd be an amazing people, but the discipline isn't there. The support isn't there. The inspiration isn't there. The encouragement isn't there. And so people are almost afraid to talk about their success because you don't want to be
too known.
You don't want people to sort of,
badmouth it.
And we're not very loyal people. We're not loyal. We have a sense of entitlement sometimes, like, somebody's trying to help you and then it becomes almost like you're right. And I don't know where we're going to start from. I don't know if it's more for us parents to start raising children who will think outside the box, children who will be disciplined, honest, responsible. I guess the onus is on us parents to start raising kids who can take the resources of this country and turn it into benefit for the citizens. But even with the parenting, we see a lot of spoiled children who being given everything they want and not being pushed. And not being disciplined, and I'm not saying discipline in that, you should cane your child, but, like spending time with children and correcting them and sort of adjusting their habits so that, I always say you want your child to grow up to be somebody that you like, an adult that you like. So I guess the responsibility is for us parents to raise good leaders.
Yeah. People with integrity.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Well, coming in here, I walked into an amazing art gallery, and I want you to talk more about it and what inspired it for you.
Okay. So, this is Antique Lemonade Art Space. 2 or 3 years ago, I wasn't well, and I was worried. Honestly, I didn't think I was going to make it. I didn't think I'd make my 50th birthday. But in the time that I was going through this season of what I would call worry and anxiety, I think that's also when my spiritual life took a good turn. And that's also when I started asking myself whether what I was doing was enough. Like, was it enough just to have a successful cafe and run a successful business with clients and staff? Was that enough? And in those 2-3 weeks of just questioning, I did 2 things. I came up with the idea of the art space, and I also decided to support my parish priest in his project, which is a soup kitchen project at Christ the King. So those are the 2 things that sort of came out of that season of difficulty, I would say. So the art space is 2 years old. It's 2 years old in February. It is it's a safe space for creatives to come and collaborate. I think we don't realize how much the arts can do to effect change. And there's this general disrespect for artists and the arts. So you have to ask yourself, why is it that in the UK and America and all these developed countries, they have all these museums, they have shows, they have all these art events that people sponsor, like wealthy people, even those who've died, have museums that still benefit from their generosity. Because we can use these things to change how we think. I mean, we always say that when we were growing up, all we knew about America was through film.
Yeah.
And what did we know about America? That was a big, beautiful place where the black men wore bell-bottom trousers and big shoes and had big afros. And that the Chinese were very strong.
Yes.
We learned about them through film. Of course, when you get into America, the reality is a little different. Or when you experience China, the reality is different. but they were able to use film quite successfully to give us an impression about them. So in terms of our environment, the way we are managing our environment, the plastic, the waste, how do we use arts, theater, film, poetry, books? How do we use that to effect change? How do we use that in a creative way, even through comedy, to get people to start being a bit more responsible about where we live, what we're doing to our ocean, what we're doing to this beautiful beach that we have, that is half brown and half blue, out of which we are eating, we're getting our food. For those who don't eat meat and eat fish, we are fishing out of these waters that are contaminated with chemicals. The arts can play a really important role in effecting change. You know, so this is the whole purpose of the space. It is to use the arts to effect change.
You've literally hit everything in every spot for a young person to be able to watch and get inspired by. And we're going for a short break and I'll come back again. Stay tuned, and I hope you're enjoying this as much as I am and you're picking things from it that are thought-provoking, because I'm definitely am. Stay tuned for more.
Let me guess, you're probably wondering, another talk show? What could they possibly have to talk about?
Relationships, gossip, or entertainment?
What if we bring it all to you in the good, the bad, and the ugly way?
Yes, you heard that right. We're bringing you the latest stories from around the world and right here in Ghana. We come with our unique backgrounds and beliefs.
But when we come together, we put all our wild thoughts and concerns on the table.
So sit back, relax, as we bring you
the good, the bad, and the ugly. Coming soon on DNT. Hello, my name is Kofi Upon Ochre, and I bring you NASA on DNT, a program designed to expose corruption and indiscipline in our society and advocate for the punishment of these offenders whose activities impede national development. The National Road Safety Commission indicates that Ghana loses $230 million to road accident, with over 1,600 deaths reported every year. In 2018, Shraj report indicated that Ghana loses 13.5 billion Ghana cedis to corruption. And United Nations Children's Fund UNICEF has also stated that Ghana loses $290 million to poor sanitation alone. This is not right. So make a date with me, and together let's name and shame the offenders of the law. NASA, see something, say something.
Every weekday at 12 and 5 p.m., DNT Newsroom brings you the most topical, fact-based, and up-to-date news from Ghana and around the world.
Politics, business, sports, and news from the diaspora, all covered in this comprehensive news update.
If it matters, DNT Newsroom will have it covered.
DNT News, be informed.
Welcome to the Daily Altar, where each day we bring to you a morning experience designed to inspire, empower you to manifest God's fullness in your life. Most Christians today are struggling spiritually when it comes to spending time with God. But the psalmist in Psalm 5 verse 3 says, "My voice you will hear in the morning. Oh Lord, in the morning I will direct it to you and I will look up." Join me every morning from 5 a.m. on the Daily Altar to encounter God through His Word, prayer, and worship. I am Bishop Sami Local from the Action City Church, Vision 10. God richly bless you.
Oh, shout your name, for you are God all by yourself.
My name is Novi.
The name is Phil.
Iman is the name.
Laugh
and learn.
biggest animal in the world?
King Kong.
What's the meaning of the I in iPhone?
iTunes.
What is Facebook?
It's a book that you say it on your face.
What is the last book of the Bible?
Methodist.
Your father is a landlord. What will you be?
Land Commission.
House owner.
Land Rover.
What do we do at the grocery shop?
They play football.
Who is Santa Claus?
Teacher, I will take fee.
So as we were saying, you were talking about the creative space. I'm so intrigued, and I am happy to know that creatives are being considered and catered for and cared for, and they do matter. And because I have a cousin that is very passionate about painting, and he gets frustrated in Ghana that no one takes him serious, and oh, they don't want to pay for the money. Wait, it's your 10, it's your 1,000. It's like I've taken time and energy, and it's just beautiful to see that you do matter. So if you do painting and you're in the creative industry, know that you do matter and your work does promote change. Also, my question that I'd really love to ask is, when was the final breakthrough for you in Ghana when you got back? Like, when was your aha moment? Did you ever got to a point where you were fed up and you were like, I can't do this anymore, I need to leave?
No, I don't think that leaving was ever an option for me. I mean, I was not a British citizen. I couldn't just up and go. I was and still am a Ghanaian citizen. This is my home. And you can't up and leave your home. So that was not really an option for me. I did wonder sometimes when things were tough, how I would have fared in the States or the UK if I had stayed. I know that maybe I'd have done a bit more school. I probably would have owned a nice property. So, I mean, in the time when I didn't have my own home and I didn't have a car, some once in a while I would ask myself, so what if you'd stayed? You'd have had a really good job, you know, stuff like that. But I've been back since, gosh, 20 plus years. I have no regrets. I still travel and I actually enjoy going back to the UK, and I see the space in a different way, in a more relaxed way, because I'm not stressed. I'm not trying to get to my job and from my job to get to school. I'm able to take my daughter to palaces because she loves history, to museums, and to really appreciate things that I didn't have the luxury of appreciating when I lived there. So for me, you know, we're global citizens now. And we should think about where we're from. We should think about this space. But we should think beyond the space. Like, how do we impact beyond this space? So yeah, I never really, going back wasn't an option for me, no.
So when you have going back not an option, it's either make it or not.
Absolutely.
And that pushed you.
Absolutely.
That's amazing. And also, before we end it, usually have a game and a segment where we do is either or. So I ask questions and you choose either or.
Okay.
So my question to you is, formal or traditional?
That's a difficult question.
You have to pick one.
That's a difficult question because it depends on the space.
What would you say majority of will be? Traditional, formal?
I would be really naughty and say formal. Yeah.
Okay. It's a difficult one, so I'm not even going to make you explain that, but I will get you to explain certain ones. Preachers or politicians?
That's a tough one too. Because I definitely go for neither.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because again, it depends. It depends on the person. I mean, if you've got a politician who's committed to change, yes. And if you've got a preacher who uses his pulpit to create change and to inspire people and not take advantage of them, then yeah. So it's like being in between a rock and a hard place. It's very difficult for me to decide which I mean, I know I'm messing up your game, but...
So you just toss both in the bin?
I mean, I would say, to be fair, that it depends on the individual and what they contribute to society. So I can't say that generally I think that preachers have more impact than politicians, because I think they both play very important roles in nation building.
Okay. Brains or beauty?
Oh, definitely brains.
Definitely. Yes, we'll get you the beauty. Money or fame?
Neither.
Really? Why?
Because I believe in service, and I believe that God created us to serve one another. That's why He gave everybody their individual gifts, or He would have equipped you with everything you needed to do everything.
Yes.
Sew your own clothes, feed yourself, make your own shoes. But the whole intention of everybody coming to the table with their gifts is so that we would communicate with each other and we would depend on each other. So I believe that when you serve, the prosperity is your reward for service. If you're going in for the money, you might make the money, but like I said in the beginning, it may not necessarily be enduring because you've gone in for an immediate gratification. Fame doesn't mean anything to me. I would rather be relevant than famous because I feel like you have to have some impact on your family or your community before you go where you're going to go at the end of your life. And I also believe in impact in terms of people, because you can leave a whole lot of properties and your kids can sell it, in a day. But you can educate a couple of people, and that education will just turn their whole trajectory and their descendants and the lives that they're going to live, following. And I think we've stopped caring.
Yes.
So for me, either doesn't appeal to me.
So you would say put more value on people instead of things.
Absolutely. And also think more of how you can serve in whatever you're doing, because when you serve well, you will prosper. When they say service, it's like church service or the service that I provide my clients. There's still that element of love and desire to make another person happy.
Happy, yes.
And when you are able to achieve that, they will reward you for making them happy.
Yes.
And I think if you approach it that way, it becomes more fulfilling for you. Because if you're just chasing money, then you can go do galamsey or you can go do, something that's not very good or absolutely, But if you are looking to serve, then you've thought through what you're doing. You've thought through what can I do to make life easier for this group of people.
Yeah.
When you approach it with love and dedication, it might take a while, but you will definitely prosper.
Okay, structured routine or go with the flow? You have to choose one.
I'm sorry. It depends on what you're doing. I have a business that I could have a structured morning, and then they'll come and tell me, Madam, the woman at this table is calling you. I could be writing, I could be sending an email, I have to stop, and I have to go. So I've learned to have structure, but within the structure, I have to be flexible.
Yes. So you have combined both.
Absolutely.
Okay, that is a very middle ground. My favorite one out of everything, you have to choose one. Sing or dance?
Oh, dance.
Well, since you mentioned dance, you will have to give us 1-2 steps.
No, I can't do that. That's just so wrong. Do you have the music?
Yes, I do.
Where's the music?
There. So
I'm a good dancer. I used to be the entertainment prefect, so I like dancing.
So what songs are you interested in?
Currently?
Yes.
I have no idea what the titles are. My daughter plays them and I dance, but I like old school. I like my Earth, Wind and Fire and my Osibisa and I like my old school. Yeah.
This is one of my best interviews, and I really, really, really sit down, which after the cameras have more intellectual conversations, because it inspires me, because I was thinking of returning, and this change of idea, I've given myself a few more months. This is amazing. Well, that's the end of the show today with Franka Maria Andoh, and I love this interview, and it's inspired me so much, and I hope you got something out of this. And if you haven't, watch it again and listen carefully. You will get one thing at the end of the day to motivate you. Stay tuned, and you're watching Homeland, the story of the returnee. Bye for now.